Hi everyone and welcome to this video where we're going to talk about a term that you might have heard in photography, which is 3D pop. What does it mean and how can you achieve it in your photos? Let's find out. 3D pop is a term that some photographers use to describe the impression of depth and realism that some images create. It's not a scientific or objective concept, but rather a subjective and aesthetic one. Some factors that may contribute to the 3D pop effect are contrast and microcontrast, the difference in brightness and color between adjacent pixels or regions of an image. High contrast and microcontrast can make the edges and textures of objects more defined and crisp, which can enhance the perception of depth and separation from the background. Color and saturation, the hue and intensity of the colors in an image. Vivid and natural colors can make the objects in an image more appealing and realistic, which can also increase the sense of depth and dimensionality. Lighting and shadows, the direction, quality and intensity of the light source and the resulting shadows on the objects in an image. Lighting and shadows can create a strong sense of volume and shape, as well as highlight the distance and perspective of the scene. Depth of field and bokeh, the range of distances in an image that are acceptably sharp, and the quality of the out-of-focus areas. A shallow depth of field and the smooth bokeh can isolate the subject from the background and foreground, creating a clear distinction between the different planes of the image. Some photographers claim that certain lenses, especially Zeiss lenses or Leica, have a special ability to produce images with 3D pop due to their optical design, glass quality and coatings. However, this is not a universally accepted or proven claim, and other factors such as the camera, the subject, the composition, the post-processing, and the viewer's preference may also play a role in creating the 3D pop effect. Here are some examples of images that some people may consider to have 3D pop. As you can see, these images have a certain look and feel that make them appear more lifelike and three-dimensional. This is what some photographers call 3D pop. Of course, this is not the only way to make your photos look good, and you may have a different opinion on what constitutes 3D pop. The important thing is to experiment with different lenses, settings and techniques and find what works best for you and your style. 3D pop and bokeh are two terms that are often used in photography to describe the visual effects of some images. However, they are not the same thing and they have different meanings and causes. 3D pop is a subjective and aesthetic impression of depth and realism that some images create, making the subject appear to stand out from the background and the scene. It is influenced by factors such as contrast, color, lighting, sharpness, and depth of field. Some lenses, especially Zeiss lenses, are said to produce images with 3D pop due to their optical design, glass quality, and coatings. Bokeh is the quality of the out-of-focus area of an image, especially the background. It is determined by the shape and size of the aperture, the number and shape of the aperture blades, the focal length, the distance to the subject, and the lens aberration. Some lenses, especially fast primes, are known to produce smooth and pleasing bokeh, while others may produce harsh or distracting bokeh. 3D pop and bokeh are related but not the same. The shallow depth of field and the smooth bokeh can help create the 3D pop effect by isolating the subject from the background and foreground. However, bokeh alone is not enough to create 3D pop, as other factors such as contrast, color, lighting, and sharpness are also important. Conversely, 3D pop can also be achieved with a deeper depth of field and a sharper background, as long as there is enough separation and definition between the subject and the scene. Here are some examples of images that show the difference between 3D pop and bokeh. This image has both 3D pop and bokeh. This image has bokeh but not 3D pop. This image has 3D pop but not bokeh. I hope this helps you understand the difference between 3D pop and bokeh. Achieving both 3D pop and bokeh in your photos can be challenging but not impossible, and here are some tips to help you create images that have both depth and blur. Use a lens that has a wide aperture such as f1.4 or 2.8, and these will allow you to create a shallow depth of field, which will isolate your subject from the background and foreground and produce a smooth bokeh. Increase the distance between your subject and the background. This will make the background more out of focus and enhance the contrast and separation between the subject and the scene. This is especially viable when you're using smaller sensors such as 1-inch sensors or micro four thirds. Choose a background that has some texture, color or light. This will create interesting shapes and patterns in the bokeh and make the image more dynamic and appealing. Avoid backgrounds that are too flat or cluttered, as they will not create a good bokeh or 3D pop. Adjust the lighting and the angle of the shot. Lighting and shadows can create a strong sense of volume and shape, as well as highlight the distance and perspective of the scene. Try to use a light source that is behind or to the side of the subject to create a rim light or a backlit. This will make the subject stand out more from the background and create a more realistic and three-dimensional look. Experiment with different settings and techniques and find what works best for you and your style. There is no formula to achieve both 3D pop and bokeh in your photos, and you may have a different opinion on what constitutes these effects. The important thing is to have fun and to be creative with your photography. I hope these tips help you achieve both 3D pop and bokeh in your photo, and that you enjoyed this video and learned something new about 3D pop. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more photography tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.